All right, everyone, welcome back into another NFL DFS video. My name is Polzin with 9 to 5 Sports. Going to be breaking down the top value plays and sleeper picks here for week 14. If you guys enjoy the coverage, make sure to give a like and subscribe. Trying to get to 5,000 subscribers before the new year. Only way I can do that is with your guys' help and support. All right, let's get into it. Speaking of that, guys, I have appreciated the support throughout this whole season. Let's keep it up. But going position by position. So what I touched on in the core plays video is that this week at quarterback, it's kind of difficult to pay up for the stud quarterbacks because they all have difficult matchups. So I don't mind the idea of starting out with Geno Smith. That's not terrible. And then you look at Kirk Cousins, Trevor Lawrence, Jared Goff. They all have good matchups, and they're all good players that you can end up on and feel comfortable with. The player that I kind of like the most, though, is actually going to be Tyler Huntley here, which sounds weird. There are some other value plays I think we can get away with as well. So looking at Tyler Huntley, and this is actually a new page on the 9 to 5 beta cheat sheet, just testing it out. So what it's looking like, it's going to be total attempts for the game, which for quarterbacks, passing attempts. For running backs, it'd be rushing attempts and whatnot. We got the completions. Okay, obviously he's a quarterback, so we have that. Total yards, and then total TDs, and then total projection for DK. And then I'm going to have it added in there where you can sort by FanDuel as well, just so you guys have that, but we have it right there as well. So as we can see with Tyler Huntley, okay, he does get a good matchup. Total matchup rank on the slate is going to be the 9th best matchup on the slate, and that's looking at position and whatnot as well, but gets a very strong matchup going against the Steelers. Now, yes, they have been improved since they've gotten Watt back, but at the same time, Tyler Huntley is a very interchangeable quarterback compared to like Lamar Jackson. Like, this offense isn't going to change at all, so I don't want to say we're getting Lamar Jackson at like a very cheap price point, but in a way, we sort of are going to be doing that. Like, sure, Lamar Jackson did struggle for a little bit in there, and he still got a lot of rushing attempts. And I think that's exactly what Tyler Huntley is going to be able to do in this one as well. Tyler Huntley had 10 rushing attempts last game, was able to score 15 DK points. So I think the production that we're going to get out of Tyler Huntley is going to be kind of similar to Jackson, just given the matchup's going to be easy. So the defense gives up an average of 20 DK points. Obviously, Huntley's average, that's low because he's not the starter, but he is projected to get about 18 DK points, which overall that ranks out as the 11th best on the slate. So Tyler Huntley is certainly someone that, given the matchup, given the rushing upside, could be a very strong price point play for you on this slate. Another quarterback play that I want to point out that I don't exactly love is going to be Bryce Perkins. It does look like he could be starting as well. Last game he played, he didn't do too well, but he is a rushing quarterback and is at his price point of 4.9. He certainly meets the mold of a value price point quarterback that could do well. Not expecting too much from him. But Ryan Tannehill is actually going to be a quarterback that I want to point out. The matchup's going to be favorable for him. Gets the 8th best matchup on the slate. We can see passing attempts should be up a little bit more than his average. The completion should be up a little bit more than his average. Expected to throw a touchdown, maybe 2 touchdowns there. About 240 passing yards, 18 DK point projection. Like, he should be in for a solid game. And so for this price point of Ryan Tannehill, I will certainly take that. Okay, not an elite play, but he also is typically a very safe play as well. So at 5.2, you can get a safe play with a little bit of upside. I'm not going to say it's great upside, but that's really it for quarterbacks. Now let's get into the running backs. So I do just want to mention that if Kenneth Walker is going to miss any time, it would probably be Travis Homer that's next man up, but he is also currently banged up. If it's not him, then it might be DJ Dallas, or it would be DJ Dallas. So we just got to monitor that. Those like Travis Homer and DJ Dallas would certainly be value price point running backs that you could look at on the slate if Kenneth Walker is ruled out and if they are active. Now, Deonta Foreman is certainly looking like he could be a very strong price point play. The issue with him is that we have to worry about the snap count. It could range anywhere from like 60% to 74%, and that somewhat is dictated by game flow. But in a game last week or 2 weeks ago where he didn't play that many snaps, only about 60% of the snaps, he was still able to get 24 carries. Now he gets a good matchup going against the Seattle Seahawks. It wouldn't be surprising to see him go out and have a 20 DK game like he had against Atlanta, twice this year. Okay, obviously he was able to take advantage of those matchups and has had over 100 yards rushing since he has taken over as the RB1 4 times. Okay, 4 out of the last 6 games. So that is impressive from Foreman. We can see really it's just the games that they're down in are the games in which they have to turn to a different running back. So he certainly is an upside GPP play for you this week, and especially in a week in which we don't have any really standout plays, he does make a lot of sense. And then just pulling it up so you guys can see it as well. We got Foreman pulled up. So the defense gives up a decent amount of carries. He's projected to get around 14, which, you'd want that to be higher. 1 reception, about 66 total yards, not even 50% for a touchdown. That's, I guess, is a worry, but is projected to get right around 15 DK points or so. So not terrible. Could be a little bit better of a play. Another very strong price point play on the slate, kind of a very similar play, is going to be Latavius Murray. He played in about 68% of the snaps, and I was very curious as to what the snap allocation would be for him with Mike Boone back. And Mike Boone could potentially eat into that a little bit more, but it kind of seems like they're just content with giving Latavius Murray a decent workload. Okay, so gets a decent matchup, not a terrible matchup, 18th best matchup on the slate. The defense does give up a decent amount of rushing attempts, so that is a good thing. Projected to get 6 total attempts, 2 receptions, 70 total yards. That's pretty good. Has about a 50% chance to get a touchdown there. That's awesome. And then about a 15 DK point total as well. So a very strong price point play for both Deonta Foreman and also Latavius Murray. They are 2 players that you can certainly look at this week. And then I do feel like I need to point out Demetric Felton because, yes, he's listed as a running back, okay, but he did play receiver for the Cleveland Browns last week in replace of David Bell. What was interesting is Browns fans have mixed feelings on Anthony Schwartz, who is kind of just like a playmaker. Kind of I don't want to say a Braxton Berrios type, but kind of like that. It was surprising to see Felton actually get those snaps instead of Schwartz. So maybe that could happen, but Felton played in 60% of the snaps last week in replace of David Bell. So he could be someone that, sure, if he was listed as a receiver, would probably be the minimum price, would be much more appealing there. Okay, but in a week in which we don't have sexy running back plays, there could be something there. I just wanted to really point that out, that he is a minimum price running back that is a receiver that could play 60% of the snaps if that Bell injury kind of holds up. Okay, so I just want to point that out. Now we get into Westbrook Ikea. No, I messed that up. But Westbrook here, he is kind of the receiver number 1 for Ryan Tannehill. And if you are going to maybe run out a low-owned GPP stack with Ryan Tannehill, I think Westbrook would be the way to go. It just seems like he likes him the most. And then you had him playing 95% of the snaps last week. It should be a much better game, a much closer game as well. I kind of expect him to have a 10 DK point game, not expecting this breakout game that he had randomly against Denver. But it won't be surprising to see him have a good game. It is a cheap price point for a guy that could have a good game in a good matchup. That's going to be playing a lot of snaps. And that's the appeal there. DJ Chark as well. I think some people might be sleeping on him a little bit more this week just because he's a little bit higher price, $500 price increase. That is a decent amount, but he was only 2 yards away from that 100-yard bonus and still gets a great matchup this week going against the Minnesota Vikings. If he's going to be playing about 84% of the snaps like he did last week, he's going to be an appealing price point play as well. Zay Jones is going to be the same play that he has been really for the past month. Okay, a very solid, strong upside play. Okay, he's going to be playing a lot of snaps, 82% of the snaps to maybe 98% of snaps. That's kind of just how it flows with them. Okay, and he could have a big target share week as well, like he had the 2 previous weeks. I'm not too worried about him not having a good game against Detroit. That's just expected. That's kind of just what's happened with Zay Jones. He's been a very hit or miss kind of player, but when he is hit, it has been some very strong production kind of given his price point. So I will certainly chase him as a play, not someone you should be playing in cash, but a very strong GPP play this week. Given the matchup, you can run out Trevor Lawrence, Christian Kirk, Zay Jones stack as well. I think that'd be great. And I do just want to point out the Houston Texans once again. Brandon Cooks, if he is someone that is going to sit in this game, you could look at Nico Collins once again. I think he'll be a popular one. He was actually a pretty popular last week. I was a little bit surprised. Had 10 targets, was able to come through with a touchdown, 12.5 DK points. You like that. But Philip Dorsett was actually the receiver number 2 instead of Chris Moore. Philip Dorsett ended up playing about 70% of the snaps, which actually has been what has happened in the previous weeks in which Brandon Cooks has sat. It's actually been Dorsett over Chris Moore. So at the minimum price, if Brandon Cooks sets out again, Philip Dorsett becomes an appealing price point play. It wouldn't be shocking to see him have a decent game. Yes, the offense kind of has really not been that good, and that'd be the biggest worry. But to get a receiver playing 70% of the snaps at minimum price, that would be appealing. And then just 2 tight ends to touch on. Again, I do want to touch on Daniel Bellinger because I feel like he is going to be slept on this week. Played over 90% of the snaps last week. And if we can get a tight end playing that many snaps, that's appealing to me. Wouldn't be shocking to see him have around 10 DK points. Then I do just want to point out Teagan as well. He is a blocking tight end, but he did play over 70% of the snaps last week for Houston and did have 3 targets. Okay. We see random touchdowns go to tight ends as well, especially pass blocking tight ends where, they're just blocking for, 1, 2, break off and get an easy touchdown. Maybe you get lucky with that. I'm trying to find a minimum price tight end play that is logical. That's going to be Teagan. Okay. Not something we're going crazy with though. And then defensively, like the Carolina Panthers have been very impressive thus far. Sure. They played Denver last week, which wasn't that good, obviously offensively, but Baltimore, decent, not terrible. They went negative against Cincinnati. Don't like that, but that was really their only bad game. So they could be someone you're looking at price point wise. They certainly make a lot of sense. The Jets have been strong defensively as well. Minnesota, one of the better offenses in the league, was able to put up 2 DK points against them. Haven't went negative this whole season. I think, everyone's finally figured out that they are a great defense. You could certainly look at them as a strong price point play. I think a lot of people are going to be looking at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Brock Purdy there. And I think that's going to be correct. It's just how many points can they put up? They only put up 3 DK points against the Saints, and the Saints were trash. I mean, that game was just hard to watch, which it seems like a lot of primetime games have been hard to watch this season. It's strange. But those are some of the defensive plays that I like as well. All right, hopefully you guys enjoyed this coverage. If you did, give a like and subscribe. I was trying to test out kind of putting in, more of the 9 to 5 graphics in there instead of using DraftKings. If you guys enjoyed that, let me know. I think it is a good visual to have, okay? But I didn't want to go completely off the board from this video like I typically do. So I can integrate that more into these videos if you guys want. If you guys enjoy that, let me know in the comment section. All right, thanks for watching. As always, let's keep cashing.